Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 1645 of What's She Up To Now. What She Up To Now is just the segment. It's like my video log journal of documenting what I'm doing as I transition from the offline brick and mortar world of businesses and corporate America to the online world. Lessons learned, lessons I've learned in my life. I'm pretty old now, so I've learned a lot of lessons, almost all of them the hard way. I wish I had learned lessons when something good happened in the good way, and I try to consciously do that now, but I didn't always. I used to have to bang my head against the wall and make mistakes and then learn from those mistakes in order to learn lessons. And I think there's a lot better ways to learn lessons. We can get coaches, we can be involved in masterminds, we can read, we can do personal development work, we can learn and grow and understand ourselves better, and they're a lot less painful than through mistakes. Although I think as human beings, there's something about us needing to face challenges and mistakes and have negative emotions and feelings before we take action and actually decide to do some personal development. Nobody really decides, or very few people decide to go on a personal development, finding themselves journey, usually until we're a lot older, because we live the first part of our lives, and this is just my observation, we live the first part of our lives doing all the things that we think we should do, living out the trajectory that our previous experiences or that our family and our parents and the people that we've been around have put us on. And at some point, we start to question and see outside of ourselves and see outside of that experience that there's infinite possibilities and so many different ways we can live our lives versus the way our family did. I grew up, and for the first 40, 50 years of my life, I was following in my dad's footsteps. My dad was in corporate America for his entire career, as well as an entrepreneur and having different businesses on the side, lots of different businesses. And I followed that same path in my life. I was working in corporate America while simultaneously having businesses on the side. My dad worked for one corporation for his whole career. I worked for 5, 6 corporations for my career. And I learned early on in my career, actually I was at my first job 5 years, but I learned that by switching industries but staying in the same field of study and expertise, I could make huge jumps in my income. My one jump, when I made my first job switch, yikes, it almost tripled my earning potential and my income. And so that, to me, taught me early on in my career that I could stay with the company. Now, I thought I'd be like my dad, and I would stay with the same company my entire career, and then I would retire, and I'd maybe or may not have a pension. I think pensions were pretty much gone by the time I started my career in the late 80s or mid 80s. But there were still a few, and I thought that I would do that. And then after my first job change, I was like, okay, there are huge advantages to taking what I learned in my first corporate job out of college and applying that to a different industry and a different job and it was actually a different city and everything. But I learned that early on in my career. So I also learned, because during that first job, I got involved, and I had been involved in businesses since I was like 13. But after college, I took a little break, and then I decided, and actually I have to give my dad credit for this, because he came to me and said, hey, I've got this business opportunity, it kind of needs a silent partner, would you be interested? So then I did that, and then later on my other sister joined me in that business, and for 30 plus years we ran a business. I bought her out in 2004, so she ran it, we ran it as a partnership for a while, and then I bought her out, and she retired, I guess. So lots of different experiences, and I like to share because they weren't all good, right? Some of the mistakes I made and some of the stuff I did in the offline world, even in corporate America and the online world, I've made some big guffaws and blunders in my career, and those are some of the biggest lessons that I've learned, and big blunders with my life in terms of how I was living my life. Now, I am the first one to tell you that I think balance is complete and utter BS, but that doesn't mean we don't create a life that works for us. And it changes over different periods of time. When I was working in corporate America, running businesses and raising my kids, there was no balance in my life, none. And that was not necessarily a good thing for me, but it was what it was. And I learned a lot through that. It took a huge toll on me and almost took me out. But I'm still here today, so I learned the lessons from that huge mismatch in what I was doing with my life. And it was more a mismatch in what was right for me than a mismatch in how much energy I was putting into it. I was putting energy and time into the things that were not right for me for a lot of good reasons, but they weren't right for me, didn't feel good to me, and they ended up harming me to the point where I had to make a life and death choice of what I was going to do. I had a sudden cardiac arrest, and I was lucky enough to wake up from that event after being frozen and in a coma and relatively unscathed. I mean, my kids would say I'm a little dingier than I used to be and a little more forgetful, but for the most part, most of my capabilities are intact after that event. So, but it gave me, and I gave me permission, and we always have that permission, but we don't always think we do. I definitely didn't think I had permission to just massively blow up and change my life at the time. I thought that the ramifications of that were too great, and I realized that that was the exact opposite of what was true for me. I had to do what was right for me and for my family, not put everything before my health and before my, well-being. So until we have something that gives us a little wake-up call, or something bad happens, or something happens to someone close to us, a lot of times we don't reflect. We don't do self-reflection and decide, maybe I should think about this differently. It's sad that we have to get to that point, and bless all the people that get to it without having to have something bad happen. Some people can hear a story and all of a sudden they realize it's like a light bulb epiphany moment for them, and they choose to make a change and look at the world differently. It's really interesting. We, as humans, actually make decisions just like flipping a switch immediately. And once in our brain we've triggered that we're going to do something or commit to something, there's no turning back. But we can procrastinate and do all kinds of things to prevent ourselves from seeing and making a decision or a choice. I was the master of that. So today, for Supersize Your Business, we were talking about my life is blank. And I shared my life is, no, that wasn't Supersize Your Business, was Make the World a Better Place. Our annual challenge, our BU 365-day challenge today was my life is blank. My life is glorious. I can trust life to support and take care of me, yada, yada, yada. We're talking about some affirmations, but we're doing a little exercise where we say, my life is blank, and we think about what pops into our head first. And that's what's important. It's just a snapshot. It's like taking a Polaroid picture. My life is blank right this instant. It isn't that way all the time. It's not going to be that way going forward necessarily. But whatever comes up for us is really, really important. If I say, and the first thing that comes up is, my life is a mess, well, guess what? I'm going to keep creating that my life is a mess, and it's going to be a mess forever, because that's what I believe right then to be true. And if what we believe, what we identify with, what we believe to be true for us will continue until something happens. We can either decide, or something's going to happen to help us decide, that we need to choose something different. So I can say, my life is a chaotic mess, or I can say, my life is awesome, or my life is always moving me in the direction I want to go. My life always feels good to me. Whatever we fill that blank in, my life is blank, tells us where we're at right this instant, and that's just an instantaneous look, and we decide, is this how I want to feel, or could I choose something better? Maybe your life is stressful, but you don't want it to be stressful. So you can say, my life is stressful, and I'm like, that doesn't feel very good to me. What would feel better? My life is running smoothly. My life is here to show and teach me something. Whatever fits for you. So we talked about that. We're sharing, and we're thinking about, what is my life, and is this what I want it to be? And then flipping into, what do I want it to be? And I always say, and my kids laugh at me a little bit, but I always say my life is awesome. If somebody asks me how I'm doing, I say awesome. Am I always 100% feeling awesome? No. Guess what? I used to say my life is fine, or I'm fine. And guess what? I watched a TED Talk on fine and burst into tears, because I recognized that I was doing that all the time. Hey, I'm fine, I'm having a good day. When it was an write bold-faced lies. So I started getting honest with myself, and I decided if my life is not awesome, whatever word I say it is right now, I'm always going to say my life is awesome. I feel awesome, because that is what I'm always striving for and I want to feel for. I want to feel like I can show up and be myself, and some people hate it, some people will like it, and it doesn't really matter, because it's how I feel that matters. Now, I say we make the world a better place, and that means being ourselves and being the example, but also not doing things to harm other people or other things in the world, because that's not making the world a better place. We can do what we need to do and what works for us to make the world a better place and be ourselves, as long as it doesn't hurt other people. If we are a heinous a-hole, that hurts other people, so it's not okay. And that might make us feel powerful or whatever, but usually it doesn't, because we're that way because we're unhappy with ourselves, not with other people, and we're projecting. So make the world a better place was our idiom for Supersize Your Business today, accredited to Ralph Waldo Emerson. I just shared 7 ways that you can volunteer, or not volunteer, that you can make the world a better place. And then ask the question, what does your business do to make the world a better place? And maybe your business just supports you and your family. That is making the world a better place, because it's showing other people that we can be responsible, we can take care of ourselves, we can. And chances are, if you have any type of business, you're already solving a problem or answering some question or filling a need that people have, or you wouldn't have a business, right? So those are our topics today. It's super busy, lots going on right now, both family, friends, and personal and professional. So if I can help you in any way, ask. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow. Go be awesome. I'm going to have an awesome day. I don't know. Probably will. I think I'm going to, because I'm going to, decide in advance that I'm going to have an awesome day. All right. Have a great day, and I'll be with you tomorrow. Bye.